Welcome to Payroll Accounting. This lecture covers Chapter 1 of the ebook and summarizes what we will be covering in this course. Let's go over the payroll and labor laws or acts we will be covering this week. The Fair Labor Standards Act, or the FLSA, sets the federal minimum wage rate, defines overtime, record-keeping requirements, and the employment standards of youth for employees in private businesses and in federal, state, and local government organizations. The Civil Rights Act of 1964, Title VII, prevents the discrimination of employees on the basis of color, religion, sex, or country of origin. The Equal Pay Act of 1963 prohibits wage discrimination between employees based on sex in the same company that perform jobs with equal skills, effort, and responsibility under similar working environments. The Age Discrimination in Employment Act of 1967 gives protection to people who are over the age of 40 from discrimination based on age. Title I and Title V of the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 applies to employers with 25 or more employees and prevents discrimination against qualified people with disabilities. The Occupational Safety and Health Act ensures that employers provide employees with a safe working environment by avoiding exposure to chemicals, high noise levels, dangers from machinery, extreme heat or cold, and unsanitary conditions. The Employee Retirement Income Security Act of 1974 is a federal law that sets standards for most retirement and health plans for private companies in order to protect people that are voluntarily enrolled in these plans. The Family and Medical Leave Act, or FMLA, allows eligible employees to take unpaid leave with job protection for family and medical reasons, with the worker maintaining the same group term health insurance coverage. The Davis-Bacon Act applies to contractors and subcontractors that are engaged in contracts that are federally funded or assisted by federal funds in the amount over $2,000 that involve the construction, alteration, or repair of public buildings. The Labor Management Reporting and Disclosure Act of 1959 gives certain rights to union members and protects them by promoting democratic procedures in labor organizations. The Federal Insurance Contributions Act, or FICA, is a federal payroll tax that is deducted from an employee's paycheck at the rate of 6.2% for Social Security tax and 1.45% for Medicare tax. The Federal Unemployment Tax Act, or FUTA, in addition to state unemployment, provides payments to individuals who have lost their jobs. The Affordable Care Act tax provision for employers states that certain employers must offer full-time employees affordable health insurance or make a shared responsibility payment to the IRS. Workers' compensation insurance gives employees benefits that are injured on the job or have a work-related illness. Payments cover medical expenses and lost wages due to employee absence. Now let's talk about human resource management, which involves the following items. Staffing is the hiring process that begins from the posting of a job position to salary negotiation. Recruitment is the process that provides a company with qualified job candidates for possible employment. Job analysis is the process that determines the tasks employees will perform for their jobs. A job description describes the responsibilities the employee is expected to perform. The job application can be a paper form that the employee must fill out or a form that is filled out online. However, unlike a resume and a cover letter, the application is consistent and requires the same information from job candidates. Checking references prior to hire will help save the company money and time by reducing the chances of hiring an individual that is not a good fit for the position. The human resource system involves the processes that take place after an employee is hired. This includes using a hiring notice. This is used to tell the payroll department a new employee is hired. Also, when there is a change in the payroll rate, Human Resources notifies payroll that an employee's pay rate has changed. The Human Resource System also includes employee personnel records. The employee personnel files are managed by Human Resources and includes the following information: the employment application, the family emergency contact form, a history of documented disciplinary action, the resume, a signed form for the receipt of the employee handbook, other employer sign-off sheets, employee evaluation and development plan, evidence of attendance, and personal contact information. The personnel records also include the employee payroll files. The company information includes the job history, the departments the employee may have worked in, any compensation changes, garnishments and/or loans, and other data for pay history. The following government forms included in the payroll files are the W-2 form, the W-4 form, Social Security and withholding forms, employee benefit deductions, and other voluntary deductions. The Human Resource System also includes the employee medical file. Only designated Human Resources staff and the employee have access to these records. And these records include information such as doctor's notes, FMLA paperwork, drug test information, required physical exams, and other documentation related to an employee's or their family's medical health. Medical files have the highest degree of safe storage due to the confidentiality of these documents. The employee personnel records also include I-9 files. These files are separately maintained from all other employee files. Only government officials and authorized entities can view these forms. The FLSA has the following requirements for record keeping. Records must include the employee's full name and social security number, the home address including the zip code, the hours worked for each workday and total hours worked for the work week, total cash wages paid each week to the employee, weekly amounts claimed by the employer for board, lodging, or other facilities, and extra pay or overtime for weekly hours worked over 40 hours in a work week. Additional requirements for record keeping under FLSA include records must be kept for at least 3 years. Records used to calculate pay should be kept for 2 years, and this includes time cards, work and time schedules, and additions to or reductions from pay. Now let's talk about the payroll accounting system, which uses the payroll register. The payroll register is a list of the totals of all pay information for employees, and this must include total gross wages, total Social Security and Medicare wages, total amount withheld for federal, state, and local income taxes, total amount withheld for the employee portion of Social Security and Medicare, and the total amount withheld for voluntary donations. So why do we need a payroll register? The payroll register helps with making payroll tax deposits, submitting quarterly payroll tax form 941 to the IRS, and provides annual wage and tax reports to employees and to the Social Security Administration. The payroll accounting system also includes creating payables, and these are the amounts that your company owes to others when creating a payroll. And payables must include FICA tax, federal income taxes, state and local income taxes, federal unemployment tax payable, state unemployment tax payable, state workers' compensation tax payable, and payables for other voluntary deductions. Next is the employee earnings record. An employee earnings record is a document that shows how an employee's pay is calculated for each pay period during the calendar year. And the elements that are included are gross pay, which is calculated for hourly and salaried employees. Federal, state, and local withholding taxes are calculated. FICA taxes, which are Social Security and Medicare withholdings, are calculated. And all withholdings and voluntary deductions are totaled, and net pay is calculated. So why do we need an employee earnings record? The main reason is to calculate employee net pay, or the amount the employee is being paid on the paycheck. It is used to track employee earnings that are used to prepare the W-2 form. The totals from the employee earnings record are used to enter the payable accounts, which are used for Form 941 reporting purposes. The payable account for FICA taxes is also added to the employer contribution to calculate the employer portion of FICA. Both the employer and the employee portion of FICA taxes and federal income withholding totals are sent to the IRS. The totals for FICA are watched throughout the year so that Social Security withholdings are stopped once the wage limit is reached, and Medicare is taxed an additional percentage once an employee's wages reach a certain point. This concludes the presentation. Please read Chapter 1 of the e-text as well as the supplement information included in the Word document for Chapter 1 to prepare for this week's assignments.